With the immediate threat from Xylar's faction neutralized, the Vanguard returned to orbit, leaving a small contingent on the surface to continue fostering relations and safeguarding the newfound alliance. Captain Elara Mitchell knew the hardest part was yet to come. Trust was fragile, and with factions within both the human and Uthran groups wary of each other, any misstep could lead to disaster. Days turned into weeks as the humans and Uthorans began collaborating on technology exchange. Dr. Marcus Steele worked closely with Uthran engineers to understand their stasis technology, while Lieutenant Rena Nakamura delved into Uthran culture and history with Xylar, piecing together the events that led to the Great Sundering. Despite the progress, there was a growing sense of unease among the crew. Captain Mitchell sensed it too. Reports of minor sabotage attempts and unexplained system failures began to surface. The tension aboard the Vanguard was palpable, and it became clear that not everyone was committed to the alliance. One evening, as the crew prepared for a crucial meeting with the Uthran Council, the ship's AI, Athena, alerted Captain Mitchell to a significant breach in the communication array. It had been deliberately tampered with, severing the ship's primary contact with Earth. Mitchell called an emergency meeting in the strategy room. "We've had a serious breach," she began, looking at her senior officers. "Someone on this ship is trying to undermine our mission. We need to find out who and why." Commander Raj Patel spoke up, his voice tense. "We have to consider the possibility that there's a saboteur among us. Someone who either doesn't believe in this alliance or has their own agenda." Dr. Steele, who had been growing increasingly skeptical of the Uthran technology, added, "Or someone who believes this technology is too dangerous to share." Captain Mitchell nodded. "We need to tighten security and monitor everyone closely. This mission is too important to let internal strife derail it. Lieutenant Nakamura, I need you to keep a close eye on our Uthran allies. See if they've noticed anything suspicious on their end." As the meeting adjourned, the crew dispersed to their duties. Nakamura, feeling the weight of her responsibility, made her way to the surface to speak with Xylar. The Uthran leader had become a key ally, and Nakamura hoped he might have insight into the situation. "Nakamura, I sense a disturbance among your people," Xylar said as they walked through the ruins, now partially restored with the help of both human and Uthran engineers. "We've noticed unusual activity as well. Some of our more militant factions have grown restless." Nakamura frowned. "Do you think they're planning something?" "It's possible. There are those among us who still see humans as invaders," Xylar admitted. "And there are those who might be willing to take drastic measures to protect what remains of our civilization." Back on the Vanguard, the investigation led by Commander Patel uncovered a disturbing truth. Dr. Marcus Steele, the chief engineer, had been secretly communicating with a radical faction of Uthorans. Steele, driven by a deep-seated fear of repeating the mistakes of the past, believed that the Uthorans' technology was too dangerous to be left in the hands of either species. Patel confronted Steele in the engineering bay. "Marcus, what the hell are you doing? You're jeopardizing everything we've worked for." Steele's expression was conflicted. "Raj, you don't understand. Their technology caused the Great Sundering. If we misuse it, we could doom ourselves as well. I couldn't stand by and let that happen." Patel's eyes narrowed. "So you sabotaged our communication array? You've been working with the extremists?" Steele nodded reluctantly. "I thought it was the only way to ensure our safety. But now I realize I've only made things worse." Before Patel could respond, an explosion rocked the ship. The emergency alarms blared, and Athena's voice echoed through the corridors. "Hull breach in Sector 7. All personnel, report to emergency stations." Captain Mitchell rushed to the bridge, her heart pounding. "Athena, status report." The explosion originated from the engineering bay. "We have multiple hull breaches and several injured crew members," Athena reported. Mitchell's mind raced. "Patel, get Steele to the brig. We'll deal with him later. Right now, we need to secure the ship and prevent further damage." As the crew scrambled to contain the situation, Mitchell contacted the surface team. "Nakamura, we've had an explosion on the ship. Steele has been working with extremist Uthorans. Be on high alert." Nakamura's voice came through, tense but steady. Understood, Captain. We'll secure the area here. On the surface, Nakamura and Xyler quickly mobilized their teams, setting up perimeter defenses around the ruins. They knew that the extremists would likely make a move now that their sabotage had been discovered. As night fell, the first signs of the impending attack appeared. Shadows moved through the underbrush, and the air was thick with tension. Xyler, using his knowledge of Uthran tactics, coordinated with Nakamura to prepare for the assault. "They're coming," Xyler said quietly, his eyes scanning the darkness. Nakamura nodded, her hand steady on her weapon. "We're ready." The attack came swiftly. The extremists, led by the militant Uthran named Xyler, launched a coordinated strike against the human Uthran encampment. Energy weapons fired, and the sounds of battle filled the air. Nakamura fought alongside Xyler, their combined forces holding the line. Despite their differences, they had forged a bond through shared adversity. As the battle raged, it became clear that the extremists were more organized and determined than anticipated. Back on the Vanguard, Captain Mitchell received a desperate transmission from Nakamura. "Captain, we're under heavy attack. Xyler is leading the extremists. We need immediate backup." Mitchell's heart sank. "We're sending reinforcements. Hold your position." As the battle continued, Nakamura and Xyler found themselves face to face with Xyler. The militant leader's eyes burned with hatred. "You've betrayed your people, Xyler. And you, human, will pay for your arrogance." Nakamura stood her ground. "We don't want more bloodshed, Xyler. This is our chance to rebuild. Together." Xyler sneered. "Your words are meaningless. Only strength matters." In the ensuing clash, Xyler proved to be a formidable opponent. But together, Nakamura and Xyler managed to overpower him, disarming and capturing the extremist leader. As the remaining extremists saw their leader fall, they began to retreat, their morale broken. The aftermath of the battle was a mix of relief and sorrow. Both sides had suffered losses, but the threat had been quelled. Nakamura and Xyler stood over the defeated Xyler, their resolve strengthened by their victory. Captain Mitchell arrived on the surface with reinforcements, her face set in determination. "We did it, but the cost was high." Xyler nodded, his expression solemn. "We have much to rebuild, but perhaps now, with the extremists defeated, we can truly begin to heal." Dr. Steele, now a prisoner on the Vanguard, was brought to face Captain Mitchell. His betrayal had nearly cost them everything, but Mitchell knew that understanding his motivations was crucial. "Marcus," Mitchell said, her voice firm but not unkind. "Why did you do it?" Steele looked down, his face lined with regret. "I thought I was protecting us. I was wrong. I see that now." Mitchell nodded. "We'll deal with your actions according to our laws, but for now we need to focus on what comes next." The humans and Uthorans began the arduous task of rebuilding. Trust had been tested, but not broken. The alliance was stronger for having faced adversity together. As they worked side by side, there was a renewed sense of purpose and hope. Nakamura and Xyler continued their efforts to bridge the gap between their people, sharing knowledge and culture. The technology that had once been a source of fear now became a symbol of their cooperation. On the Vanguard, Captain Mitchell addressed her crew. "We've faced betrayal and conflict, but we've emerged stronger. Our mission remains to seek mutual benefit and understanding. We owe it to ourselves and to the Uthorans to see this through." The crew, united by their experiences, reaffirmed their commitment to the mission. The journey ahead would still be fraught with challenges, but they knew that together, they could overcome any obstacle. As the Vanguard and the Uthran civilization moved forward, there was a sense that they were not just rebuilding the past, but forging a new future, one built on trust, cooperation, and the shared dream of a brighter tomorrow.